Hello and welcome to the PowerSwitch, gaming's call-in talk radio show. My name is Peter Spezia, and today is April 8th, 2017. This is the 21st episode of the podcast. Thank you for tuning in. We use Discord as a means to add and drop callers to talk about video games, and switch the power that's found in a typical gaming podcast. You can join our server to participate during recordings at rhymeswithasia.com/call. So a bit of housekeeping. I'm still playing Persona 5, about 11 hours in now. I have all the fallout from the first palace complete. So I know a lot of my friends have been way past that point, but when you work and you can put only little chunks here and there, that's really what I've been getting to, but I've been loving what I'm playing so far, absolutely. And our Legend of the Zelda Breath of the Wild spoiler cast, if you're not here, the edit might not get up in time, so I apologize for that. But as I mentioned on our last episode, it's Sunday, that'd be tomorrow, April 9th, 4 p.m. Eastern Time. Looking forward to talking about that. Joining me today is Scott White from dashingnerds.com. Scott, you've been on the show before, but I welcome you in this guest co-host capacity.
Well, thanks for letting me be your wingman here today, Pete.
Really appreciate it. And, we talked about it last episode when you called in. E3 2017, just around the corner, a couple months away. We'll be having some sort of collaboration there as well. So, and, other future episodes that you may be free to be on, looking forward to that as well. I know my wife was looking more to tune into shows that she's more comfortable with talking, and that's totally understandable on her part. But I know you're just as passionate with games like me. You write for dashingnerds.com. You helped co-found the site. And I'd like to talk to you more about that, if I may, just to kind of introduce you a little bit, get into the audience, but I kind of start a little bit with your history of games.
Well, really, ever since even before I was born, video games have been a part of my life because I have an older brother, and my parents got him an original NES back in like '86 when it was originally released in the States. So literally every day of my life, I have had access to some sort of video games. So it's kind of just grown from there. And in high school, I was very art-centered, and for a very long time, even through college, I wanted to get into actual creation of video games. So that's what I got my degree in, was within media arts and technology with a focus on game design. And from there, I went into more 3D modeling and things along those lines. And then as I've gotten older, I've kind of more gravitated towards reporting and giving my feedback and kind of thoughts on what's going on in the game industry. But games have always been a part of my life. They helped me through my parents' divorce, being able to, the whole escapism and explore worlds, the Final Fantasies, the Zeldas. I have such great memories, and so many huge moments of my life are tied intrinsically to video games that they're here to stay. I'm not changing or stopping playing them anytime soon, for sure.
Right, and it's always important when games have that kind of power as a medium. But you mentioned the reporting, and you have dashingnerds.com. I mean, what was the process like when you met with your friends, to co-found that? What have experiences been like working with that site? I mean, to have your own, independent sort of game nerd culture website. What's that like?
It's been a lot of fun. It's definitely been a learning experience. The starting off point was just me and a bunch of friends got together and we're talking. It's like, we want to make a video game website, and we want to talk about the stuff that matters to us. We're all really big gamers over at Dashing Nerds. So it really started at my kitchen table in my apartment where we came up with the name, and it just kind of started from there. And that was back in October of 2015. And since then, I mean, we've gotten in contact, and we work with different publishers and developers to get review copies, and like Xseed, Atlas. We have a Square rep, Nintendo, people along those lines, and they're great. Some are definitely easier to work with than others, but we've met a lot of real cool people through it. We've gone to conventions, we've gotten press passes for those, and continue to look into the future and plan things ahead. We've been able to interview various voice actors. I myself interviewed a couple of the old Power Rangers for a new project that they're doing called The Order last summer, I want to say.
Very cool.
That was really fun. We've interviewed Vic, who voices like Edward Elric from Full Metal Alchemist.
Yep,
we've
Vic
interviewed
Mignogna,
him. Yep. We've interviewed him. We've interviewed Velvet's voice actress from Tales of Berseria. Her name's escaping me, but she's also like Sailor Mars from Sailor Moon Crystal. So it's
is that Christina V?
Yes,
Yeah,
Christina
yeah.
V. That's it.
Yep.
So that's been a lot of fun. figuring out original content has been the biggest thing. It's because we're really trying to set ourselves apart and not because everyone will put out a review. There's always going to be a review for a Persona or a Yooka-Laylee or a Final Fantasy. Those will always be there. And there's always going to be so many. So what we're really trying to do is expand into more original content with our retro rundowns, where we kind of look into the marketing and kind of the development process of old video games. We've done Earthbound, Chrono Trigger was our latest one. Final Fantasy 3, we did a 2-parter. That does really well. It's the original content. This week for Persona 5's launch, we put out a Persona primer for a thing we're going to be putting under a kind of a new area on the site called RPG University. We'll have like a good introduction. We're still fleshing it out, but the Persona primer was to give a basic understanding of how the spell naming conventions of Persona work, and give a bit of an introduction for new players for the social links and what that can do. So,
And then as far as original content goes, you also have time hops on your YouTube channel.
Yep, we're almost done with season 1, so season 1 finale will be in the next week or two. So that will be fun, and we're already starting to do plans on bringing in actual breweries from around the area and brewers to guest star on episodes. So expanding more with that and figuring out what we can retool and tweak. Excuse me.
Hopefully, no twerking on camera.
We might be twerking too.
Depends how drunk you get. Yeah.
It's exactly. We are the latest episode that went up yesterday. We accidentally had a 12% beer that we didn't realize when we get started. So it's like, oh, okay. So we were a little tipsy at the end, but no, we have a lot of plans, and it's very exciting. And you've written for us with some of the reviews and great stuff. Those have done really well. If you want to,
thanks. Yeah.
What's it been like reviewing for you on your end?
It's been different. Like I used to do some writing just on the side for my blog. So when the website that I still have all that stuff, it's mostly just to be a place to house the content I create, and that's mostly with podcasting. So I totally respect and honor. Like that's really cool that you do the business connections. Like that's the coolest stuff to me is getting the PR connections and working with that. Like that's really cool how you guys have set that up. That's really impressive. But as far as just writing goes, like I think that I'm generally a good writer, but applying it to video game critique is something that takes practice. And so I've done some reviews long ago, and since then I've developed as a writer. So but thank you for giving me that opportunity and outlet, because it's never really the first thing that comes to mind. It would be to provide writing content for my website. I'm just used to, over the years, more as just speaking into a microphone. I'd rather just say how I feel about a game, but to kind of put it in that format and very structured and kind of give the whole number attached to it, and to do something like Danganronpa 1 and 2 Reload. That was really cool, because you guys made contact with NIS America, and you got the review code that way. That was super cool to have that done, ready, like right for launch. That was a neat experience. So to have you guys do that is really awesome. But to be a part of it is really humbling. So thank you for that.
Hey, your writing is fantastic. Our editor Mary Rose has no problem editing it. She's always amazed by how easy it is to review your stuff, that she can tell very easily that you're a writer, that you've done a lot of writing before. So your stuff's great, and it definitely gets the views for us, and they're very interesting and well written articles and reviews. So
I appreciate that. I especially liked the feedback that you gave me for the Danganronpa. I just threw like the whole dang ass Ron Paul sort of thing in there, and how the rep from NIS got a chuckle out of that. Like that amused me. That was really cool. So thank you. But enough about websites and all. I mean, games as a whole. I mean, where do you see it going? What do you enjoy about it? Like just kind of getting your general thoughts about the games industry.
It's not going anywhere. It honestly feels like we're moving further away from the mobile centric game atmosphere ecosystem than we were in maybe 3 or so years ago. I feel like console and PCs are starting to reclaim a lot of some of the ground that they lost in terms of the public opinion that those kind of, especially with consoles, that those are all going away and that it's all going to be mobile based, that it's all going to be phone. I think those will still progressively get better, but I don't see the fear, and I don't read as much in the news anymore how traditional video games are going away anytime soon.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing when you think about, a handful of years ago, I mean, end of 2013, and people are saying, like, is this going to be the last console generation? Because you had so many analysts saying that, mobile's going to take over, and, the processing power there is only getting better, so you're going to have more and more games there. And you kind of have to wonder, like, have they done such a poor job pricing that market that when you look at, just as a recent example with, Nintendo getting the premium content on there, sure, they have, a brand new audience on there, and Pokemon Go, but that's through Niantic, second party, all that stuff. Tons of money being made there. You had the stat come out that like they still have 65 million players as like an install base there. Like that's remarkable for just any game really. But then you look at Super Mario Run, and then they price it as like a premium product, but no one, or not as many people certainly, seem to be interested in putting the money down for that product. And, you look at, consoles as a whole, and I think the best thing that they did is making it all very PC-like and PC-centric in a way to really open it up to indie developers to, give that, couch play space that many of them, grew up with and they want to be a part of. And so I think that's probably been a big help, is really embracing the indie market, make it very easy to develop, games for these consoles. And so there may be questions on, do we keep just iterating on the same thing over and over again? When would a next console generation come into play? But yeah, I think you're right. Like the industry isn't going anywhere as far as consoles are concerned. Yeah, mobile may grow as well, but they have a lot of work to do if they want to get the premium products on there with a wide market space.
Yeah, I think people are starting to get a little fatigued over the freemium kind of set of on games on mobile. It isn't as novel of an idea anymore, and it's just everyone's doing it. So I could see them moving more. I could honestly see mobile will have its free games and then also be moving more towards a more traditional price, like gaming price structure. And I think more expensive but larger and more complete games will start becoming more acceptable, I would say. Like Super Mario Run, where you can have it free or you can have it pay, what is it, $15 or something?
It is 10,
and
yeah.
Unlock 10 and unlock the whole thing. I could see that becoming more.
Yeah, hopefully. It would provide a little more legitimacy to that market again. And I always wonder, like, I wish I could see the stats of how games like Telltale's games do on iOS. I'm sure, like, they get sales, but I wonder how, like, the breakdown is between that and PC and then the console versions. Like, as someone who plays Telltale games on PC, just to kind of have everything connected there, I wonder. Yeah,
that is interesting. But, I mean, consoles are doing great. I mean, PlayStation 4 is selling like hotcakes. Xbox is selling fairly well. Scorpio is probably going to be selling well when it comes out later this year.
Switch is off to a good start, yeah.
Switch is off to a really good start as well. Hopefully that'll continue when they start releasing more games.
Yeah, and they got to get more supply in going. I get that it's, the Nintendo. It's not as extreme of a shortage with the supply, but, when there are still news stories of like, oh, Toys R Us is going to have Switches in stock today, like that kind of has to go away, if the demand continues.
I was in Best Buy earlier today picking up Binding of Isaac, like I was mentioning off stream, and while I was looking at perusing their game section, a father and son came in asking if they had any Switches.
Wow.
And the Best Buy woman just said, no, we'll have them when we open tomorrow.
Wow.
Couldn't say how many or whatever, but she said, we'll have them at 11, be here at 10:30.
Always cool to hear those kind of stories for sure.
Yeah.
I want to get into the main topic of the show finally, though, if that's all right.
No, go ahead.
I kind of had this sort of planned for a little bit, and then we're like, oh, let's get Scott on the show. I mean, we're going to have him for E3. Might as well get him a little more acclimated to the podcast here, in addition to, the times you've called in. But I had an idea just to kind of break down game soundtracks in a way over generations. And over on my Rhymes with Asia YouTube channel, where you see this posted on YouTube, I also do this tempo control series where it started as a big grand scope podcast, but now it's kind of shortened to just like a top 10 kind of curated list from a specific game soundtrack. And so I play bits on the show here during transition. You're familiar with that if you listen to this podcast. But I kind of wanted to kind of create a top 10 list of at least over generations. And to start at least with this current one, I know this generation so far, like it's obviously not over yet, but I kind of wanted to do a little bit where I run through this top 10 list here, play some snippets of the segments of the soundtrack, and then maybe if you want to chime in on things I possibly missed, all that stuff. It's just to kind of do a little different kind of main topic here, but to kind of do a top 10 list of what I think are the best game soundtracks from this generation so far. So that's starting at the end of 2013, when PS4, Xbox One. If you want to mix in Wii U games, sure, but 2013, like you also have PS3 games in there, and like that wouldn't count. So it's technically this generation, so Wii U, PS4, Xbox One, and on so far. So starting at number 10, I have The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. Number 9, Danganronpa 2, Goodbye Despair. Number 8, Donkey Kong Country, Tropical Freeze. Number 7, Shovel Knight. Number 6, Life is Strange.
To all of you American girls, it's sad to imagine a world without you.
Number 5, Doom. Number 4, Bravely Default. Number 3, Final Fantasy 15. Number 2, Undertale. And number 1, I know it just came out, but Persona 5.
You never see it coming. You see that my mind is too fast for eyes. You're done there. But a river in a dry land. The last is in a lost head. When I hop off new beginnings, burn our feet. Now we need it. So you know that we out there, swatting lines in the making. Can't move fast without breaking. Can't hold on all life for change.
Maybe a bit of a guilty choice for the number 1 pick there, but I spent the last 6-7 months listening to this soundtrack, and it's so good. And some people say, don't spoil a soundtrack. I mean, yeah, maybe some of those titles may have spoilers. Like, I mean, for Persona 5 soundtrack, there's like a title of what is the final boss, and it's a weird title. And like, I know it, but I have no idea of context to the game at all. But I think it's been really cool playing it so far and just hearing each and every tune and like where it's placed. And I think there's a good satisfaction there so far. I know, Scott, you're playing Persona 5 a lot as well. I mean, your thoughts on the soundtrack, having that be a number 1, even for the generation so far?
It's definitely in my top 10 for generational soundtracks. I didn't number mine because I was trying to figure out what 10 soundtracks I really liked were, but Persona 5 has such a fantastic soundtrack, and I, like you, have been listening to the soundtrack a lot the past number of months, especially since it came out in Japan, because I actually imported the collector's edition of Persona 5 with Japan because I really wanted the soundtrack CDs from Persona 1 through 4 with some of 5. So I've been listening to those soundtracks too. I love the intro.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I love the song that plays like when you're doing your final dive into a palace, like before the boss.
Yeah.
That's very cool. It's so atmospheric and it does everything so well. Like you, I could just keep on gushing about Persona 5 and the soundtrack and visuals, everything. So
yeah, I actually had a top 10 list ready to go that week for that tempo controls. Like I have the file made. I've got that list made. It's just I had to kind of come to a consensus with friends, like, what do I do? Atlas bots are serious business. And this was before all of the nonsense with the stopping the streaming and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And we're like, I should probably have just Persona 4 Golden as a backup and just do that, shouldn't I? But yeah, Life Will Change is definitely number one. Like, that is the business. It's so good. Any omissions that I had on that list, though, do you think?
I know the game itself wasn't too well received, but I love the all-piano soundtrack of I Am Setsuna. I thought it was really beautifully well done. And World of Final Fantasy I really liked as well because it was cheery and it had a lot of kind of remixes from old tunes. It was very nostalgic for me. Completely agree about Bravely Default. That has perhaps one of my most favorite end boss, final boss.
Yeah.
Serpent that eats the earth, I believe.
Yeah, there's different transitions. Yeah, Serpent eating the horizon. Oh, yeah, that's so good.
It gives me shivers. Like, it's on my YouTube music playlist when I'm trying to pump myself up. I love it. Xenoblade Chronicles X was also a really good one.
Oh, yeah.
Xenoblade Chronicles on 3DS in Wii. That was a really good one. Dark Souls was incredibly atmospheric for me. I really like that one. Guilty Gear Xrd I have always been a big fan of the Guilty Gear soundtracks. The heavy metal, very loud, bombastic, action-packed soundtracks. And then all the other ones you had mentioned, I have Final Fantasy 15 on mine, Shovel Knight. Oh, I also have Fire Emblem Fates. I thought that had a really good soundtrack.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of good stuff and a lot of remixes. I was debating between Final Fantasy 10 because that had the remix soundtrack to it.
That was a good one too. Yeah.
Or Dragon Quest Heroes with a lot of the remix songs from Dragon Quest's history. But I was like, I'm going to try and avoid not putting on the remix songs that we've already had.
It's a tough one when you're talking about all the remasters. Like, you could usually say, The Last of Us remastered. It's on PS4, but the
Kingdom
original.
Hearts.
Oh yeah,
all the Kingdom Hearts remastered remixes.
Yeah, kudos on Square Enix. I wish more studios, especially when they're talking about remastering those older games. Square Enix does a great job with Final Fantasy X, with Kingdom Hearts to refresh the instrument palette. That's super helpful and just really kind of modernizes the game in just an audio fashion. So that's really good. Orally, I should say, and it always takes the extra pronunciation there. You put it in your mouth? No. Yeah, a couple others that just missed the cut for me. Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain, Super Mario 3D World, another one that would have been right there. Just had to make that top 10 list. Anyway, that's what we have to say. When we come back, we'll get to the callers. What do you think? We'd love to hear your thoughts, but you can also bring up whatever gaming topic you'd like to discuss, whether it's some of your favorite gaming soundtracks from the past generation, your favorite games, or what are you playing recently, anything like that. That's all on the table. And don't forget, you can also reply to another caller had to say too. That's all when we come back here on the Power Switch. Welcome back to the Power Switch. Let's get to the callers here with Scott White from DashingNerds.com and hear what you have to say, whether it's about soundtracks, Persona 5, even things like Xbox Scorpio. Looking forward to seeing what you have to say. Joining us from Illinois, Video Game Guru 64. Welcome back to the Power Switch. How are you?
Good.
Good.
A little bit stuffy, but good.
Oh man, so, the cold's just been going around everywhere. It seems. I've got a lot of people stuffy here. Yeah, but thank you for calling in. What do you like to talk about today?
Well, I would like to talk about maybe Xbox Scorpio. I'm an Xbox noob. I don't know anything about Xbox.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So is it something that interests you though? Because when we talked about on last episode was basically it's something maybe if you're a PlayStation gamer and you've been used to PS4 for a while, but you're interested maybe a little bit by Xbox and some of their exclusives. It's then, the impetus would either be, do I want to save the money and just get a basic Xbox One, or in this case, Xbox One S, it's, practically the same price. Or if you're used to games, do you go for a more premium product in Scorpio? And that's not saying, knowing what the price is, but, we only know so much based on the specs that were revealed a couple days ago, but is Scorpio something that interests you?
I don't know. I feel like you can just upgrade your PC to run those types of specs, and if there's not exclusive game for the Xbox Scorpio, it's just like if the keep going with this PC and console thing, and then why get the console when you can just have it on your PC?
Yeah, I think that's really the big hurdle that they have to go with. I mean, they want to kind of get everything under that Windows 10 banner. I'm guessing that they want to see Scorpio as almost kind of like it's a relatively affordable gaming PC solution. I mean, Scott, this is Microsoft's big challenge. I mean, where do you see this shaking out?
We've mentioned this before. I don't know who they're marketing towards now. Like an article I was reading earlier today that it's possible that it could be upwards of like $650.
Oh my God.
Just with the specs and everything. And I mean, it's not even the top of line computer parts, because the graphics wise in the article or the original announcement, the graphics card in it is about a GTX 1070 level. And I mean, there's 1080s. I have a 1080 in my PC.
I've got a 1070 in mine. Like, yeah, it works great. But when you're talking about like the Play Anywhere initiative, where their first party games going forward, they're going to also put on their Windows 10 store. It's like, what's the difference there?
Right. I think the Play Anywhere was a great initiative, but I think in the long run, with them trying to do the Scorpio thing now, I think it's going to come back and bite them in the butt, because now they're trying to bring people back over to the console space, where their gaming initiative, the Buy Anywhere, is trying to split it up, where if you can buy it on PC or on a console and then play it on PC. I think they're kind of contradicting themselves a bit. So it'll be interesting to see where they go.
Now, Video Game Guru 64, I mean, for you being new to Xbox platform, I think the one advantage that something like Scorpio would have is how it plays the back catalog of Xbox 360 games. There's no talk yet of saying that they're going to open up the backwards compatibility to a full system. I saw some rumors that like maybe they've figured out a 360 emulation solution period on board with Scorpio. Nothing confirmed at all, but if they open up that backwards compatibility library to more than just what they have established now, I think there's their advantage. But then it's like, do they shoot themselves in the foot and make that move? We're saying, well, now you can put 360 discs in your Windows 10 PC and play anything. Like that would be tough. I mean, so I think maybe that's your advantage there, is if you're looking to play the backwards compatibility catalog of Xbox 360 games.
Well, yeah, and I don't have an Xbox 360 or an Xbox anything right now, and I'm either planning on getting a PS4 or an Xbox something. May get a PS4 just because of those Japanese titles that aren't hitting the Xbox. So like Persona 5, that I've been watching a Let's Play of that. It's really good.
Yes, it is. It's so good.
Really good. Really good.
Whenever I get a PS4, I'm gonna pick that up.
Yeah, and like that's really the big question is, Xbox has never really catered too well with the Japanese games. They tried in the early days of the 360. But yeah, I think that's something that we have to look for at E3 2017 to see like really how they market this thing going forward. Like what's the differentiator between Xbox Scorpio, if they end up calling it Xbox One X, if they call it just Scorpio, if they, whatever they do, whether they differentiate between that and the Windows 10 gaming PCs that they're trying to, push that Windows 10 store and try to not stay, totally in Steam's way or anything like that. That's really their biggest challenge. And on top of the name, the price, the box, the look of it, their marketing strategy is going to be the key thing to see at E3.
They can't pull a PlayStation 4 Pro announcement.
No, that was not too wise. And at least they've wised up and stayed away from the whole TV sports thing, and that's right. Good.
But now that I'm thinking about it, we really haven't had a good mid-generational announcement happen ever. I mean, the Switch was a whole new box or anything, but the PlayStation 4, I think no one has really figured out how to market things well. And in your point with the Xbox 360 exclusives, Pete, that you mentioned as being a positive against the Play Anywhere, I completely agree. But they can't market that you can now play your Xbox 360 games to try and get people to buy a Scorpio.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, in that regard, because normal Xbox One S or a normal Xbox One can do that as well.
True.
So
true, yeah.
if that was a big draw for them, they would probably spend the less money or not as much money in getting one of those if that was a big selling point. But
I mean, hey,
Yeah.
if they've worked
Who
out
knows?
if they've worked out the emulation to have it work across all their Xbox One platforms, I mean, kudos to them. That's a big, help in their favor, and really kind of shoots something like PlayStation Now and the Gaikai technology kind of in the foot when PlayStation's still relying on the streaming. But it's all speculation. It's all hard to say, but it does make June very interesting.
yes.
As far as Xbox games go, Video Game Guru 64, like, which would you be interested in possibly playing? Like, have there been games that have kind of just, you've been interested in, but, never been able to play? Or like, are there any that kind of have eluded you?
See, the only one that really I would probably play would be Blue Dragon, but
Yeah.
that just came out on the Xbox 360, and they didn't do anything else with it. So
I think that is part of the backwards compatibility library that
It is.
does got announced. But yeah, that only goes to show that you're interested in playing Japanese games. I mean, that's where PlayStation 4 is going to be your best friend there.
yeah. So that's why I'm planning on getting probably a PS4 probably this Christmas or something. So
And just know you can always play the 2 Blue Dragon sequels on the DS. They released 2 Blue Dragon titles on the DS.
really,
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yep.
Oh,
I didn't know that
okay.
either. That's really interesting.
Yeah,
I remember when that was like they tried to take that off as an anime and try to make
Yeah.
that work. Didn't work too
Oh
well.
yeah, that was
I
an
watched-
anime too.
I watched the anime.
Oh yeah.
It never really gone anywhere, but yeah, I watched the anime.
One
Because
of the
they-
few. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Video Game Guru 64, it's always interesting to hear what you get to contribute here. And yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of Project Scorpio talk for the next little while as far as maybe they'll dole things out up until E3, but that's going to be really, really exciting.
Yes. Your main topic is gaming soundtracks. Bayonetta 2.
Yeah, that's a really good one too. I think
Yeah.
the game as a whole, like the gameplay shines a lot more, but there are definitely certain tracks from that one that stand out to me. I mean, Moon River is, God, that's
Yes.
awesome.
Yes. And another thing is Sharp FE. If you
Yeah. Tokyo Mirage Sessions, Sharp FE.
that just came out last year, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
That reincarnation song from it, the one they use for the debut trailer, like that always gets stuck in
Yeah.
my head every now and then. It's a good earworm.
Yeah. and
Still
and
love
then-
the name of it.
It's such a pain in the ass to say.
That's the winner for strangest video game title of this generation.
Yeah.
I'm saying right now.
And I hope they have a sequel on the Switch. Hopefully. I don't know, because I really like that game, and I feel like a lot of people missed it.
Yeah, I mean,
So-
I started playing it, and I wanted it to be a game that I played up until Persona, but then we had all those games with Zelda and Mass Effect, because it is. I mean, it's Shin Megami Tensei. It's a very Persona-like combat system, just mixed with all the different verses and all that they wanted to add the idle infusion
We're
there.
getting Shin Megami Tensei probably going to be Shin Megami Tensei 5 on the Switch.
Probably.
2018, 2019. So
Yeah, and they're
you
doing
never
the
know.
3DS game as well.
Yeah, the Deep Strange Journey.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I feel like I've kind of played Persona 3, didn't get much into it. I watched Persona 4, had the chance to get Persona 4, but I didn't get much into it either. So Persona 5 really caught me. So that might be the game that I jump into that.
Yeah, it's interesting to see what scratches that itch for a Persona, because there's so many mechanics at play, and it's interesting to like what gets you. Like, is it the day-to-day high school role play? Is it the dungeons? So, I mean, I would recommend going back and playing the previous ones whenever you get the chance to, after Persona 5. Because they're all very similar in so many ways, but, just different tweaks.
3 and 4 are similar.
Yeah.
3 and 4 are similar. The 1 and 2 are fairly different.
Yeah, 1 and 2 are very different.
Well, I feel like 5's gameplay that I've seen is giving me flashbacks to Persona 4. But I don't know if it's giving you flashbacks.
A lot of similarities.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The main difference is that these main palaces, these main dungeons, they're very structured and they're very planned out, whereas Persona 3 and 4, those dungeons they're randomly generated floors. They're very corridor-like and opening doors. That's all randomly generated. And that carries over a bit into Persona 5 as sort of like a side quest, like a big heavy side quest they call mementos. But that's really the big difference as far as the gameplay goes. I'm liking a lot of the fast travel systems in Persona 5. That's really nice to go and get where you need to go and see who's available for your social links or your confidants. That's another big change, but there are so many similarities. And so like it's scratching that itch, but it's doing a lot of things better in 5. And then you also have the carryover for Shin Megami Tensei with the demon negotiation. I mean, in Persona 3 and 4, you get cards that are kind of done in this random after battle shuffle time, and like picking that is how you get personas to fill out your compendium. This, you got to talk to the demons who are actually actual creatures, as opposed to just weird shadow figures in 3 and 4. Like these are actual.
Yeah, and when you knock them down, you can actually discuss.
Demon negotiation.
It's a cool thing that was carried over. That's from other Shin Megami Tensei games, but has never really been a Persona thing. Interesting to actually learn the mechanic of how that works, of how there are 4 personalities, and you can see what personality the persona is, and then based on that, they only like certain type of answers. And so, like I've been trying to learn that because that's a new thing to me. But it's a system that works well.
I played Shin Megami Tensei 4, and that was in that game.
Yep, absolutely.
Demon negotiation was actually around. That's how you recruited new Persona in Persona 1 and 2. So it's actually calling that system's calling back from the original 2 Personas, but giving it a bit more of a flair and kind of the streamlined process that is now in like SMT4.
That's good to know. Thanks. Yeah, I know so little about those first 3 games technically because the 2-parter in Persona 2.
Innocent Sin and Eternal Punishment.
Yeah, absolutely. But no, it's really cool to see how the series has grown. And a lot of people, I think, of when it's been getting in the mainstream, a lot of people catch on to the day-to-day school life. I know that's what drew me into the series, but there's so much to like about Persona. It's a pretty tall barrier of entry for someone brand new, but if it catches you, you get hooked.
If there's any chance of Persona 5 being ported to the Switch, I don't think that's going to happen.
I don't know either, but man, I do find myself thinking that like I would love to just take this anywhere. I'm missing this on the Vita is tough. But they'll maybe do a spin-off game. I mean, Persona Q on 3DS, like all the Shin Megami Tensei on 3DS and the upcoming project for Switch. So like it's not totally out of the realm of possibility, but when they're keeping the mainline games for Persona usually on PlayStation, like that's a tall hurdle to clear. But it really depends on how well Switch sells in Japan. Primarily, I would think like that's probably the biggest change that you'd have to see before it's considered over at Atlas.
Plus, you have to figure there's going to be at least one enhanced port or something of Persona 5 because that's what they do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Persona 5 Bloody or Red or
the Black.
Yeah, exactly.
Persona 5 Black.
Yeah, and mentioning that, I love this colors scheme. Like, you had blue in Persona 3, you had yellow in Persona 4, and then you have red in Persona 5.
Yeah, it all works very well.
Mm-hmm.
I know with all those primary colors there. Yeah, no, it's very cool, and just all the styles, the transitions, and it's so just entertaining and visually appealing.
Very visual.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
All right, well, Video Game Guru 64, thank you for calling in. We can find you on Twitter and other places across the internet at Video Game Guru 64. Anything else you'd like to plug?
Just the Sky PG. They're on episode 5 right now. So it's a good time to get caught up and go along with the episodes.
Yeah, and check out that Let's Play for sure. I hope they're aware of the Atlas things and all that, and that's got to be tricky to kind of dance around that. So, but yeah, hopefully that all works out well for them. Thanks for calling in. Have a great night and take care.
Yep.
Joining us from Ohio, Missing No 87. Welcome to the Power Switch.
Howdy.
How are you doing? Welcome, and thank you for calling in.
Yeah, I actually got to call this time because I knew that you were having a show.
Yeah, it's nice. I got to do better on the social media and the self-advertising front. Like, that's always the toughest thing. I think it's just, trying to get your work out there and kind of being a whore for promotion. But thank you for calling in. What did you have on your mind today?
I just got a Switch on Thursday.
Congratulations.
Congrats.
Yeah.
And I have to say, it's probably the easiest gaming device I'd had with being a dad.
Oh yeah, well, congrats for being a dad.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Big change too. Yeah, I would have to imagine just with the sleep suspend state to have it all portable. You can play wherever. What has that been like?
I've been playing my Xbox One before I got this, and playing that when I can. And then with the whole playing 3DS, like the problem I had with that is there's some really good games on it, but it's hard to get a whole gaming experience with that. Especially when you actually have time to play something on your TV and you really want that big screen. You don't want to be sitting and holding your DS, which you've been playing all night because you were stuck up all night.
Right. So which games have you been playing for Nintendo Switch then?
Zelda.
Yeah, that's really
What's that? I'm not familiar with that one.
Never heard of it.
Zelda?
You make any good progress in there between, I imagine just all the different segmented times. Like it's a good game to, just pick up and try a little bit of, but have you made any good progress from that?
I just got off the Great Plateau last night.
Okay. Yeah. But yeah, that's, a couple days ago. So that's pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah. And, still the biggest problem I had with the game was I had trouble getting into it because, how you have to get the winter gear or something to keep you warm at the beginning? The recipe for it, the guy said that he needed meat and a spicy pepper.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't get that he wanted me to make the meat and seafood stir fry. I thought he wanted me to make a whole new dish.
Oh.
So I spent a good 3 hours trying to figure out what I could make that would please him.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah, that one's weird. If you found the same thing I did, it was just it's like, oh, I know this recipe, and it's meat, and he called it I think the spicy steak and seafood sort of thing. And it's like, I know,
it was something like that.
I know it's raw meat, I know it's peppers, but what's the other thing? And to go and think where am I going to find a fish? There's only a few lakes that I just went and I bombed and literally picked them up out of the lake, but.
Bomb fishing.
Yeah, bomb fishing. It's good fun. You kill quite a few. And it's always interesting to see, what people did. That's, I think, when we go and have our spoiler cast discussion tomorrow for the game, it's probably gonna be one of the first questions is how did you solve that first puzzle? That's the thing that gets you right into the game. And there's many ways of doing that. I mean, some people take a torch and run up the mountain and have that be.
I did do that for one of the shrines.
Yeah.
I did take the torch, but the other one where you had to, the only way I could see to get across was to go across the river first. There was no way I could make it through that and still keep a torch lit.
Yeah. So there's so many ways to do that, and one of them is you get up so far with that, and the old man will be there. Oh, you're trying so hard. Let me give it to you. But I know for me, when I figured that recipe out, and it actually took a long time to kill the boars that were just roaming there because it takes one good headshot. With your arrow,
I threw bombs at them.
That works too. Yeah, that probably. Wow.
I just wish it was explained a little bit better that he wanted the same recipe because it sounded like that he was talking about his seafood recipe, and then he said he wanted a recipe with meat and pepper.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I'd actually look up online just to see what he wanted me to do for that quest.
Yeah, and it's okay to look things up online, especially. I mean, gosh, when you're talking about playing games as a dad. I think your time is at a premium. You can't be wasting hours doing bullshit, really. You gotta really kind of pace that out. And that's where I think, we talked about in a previous episode of the show, where like, it's okay to go easy mode if it's available for certain games like that. Like I think it's, have no shame in looking up certain guide things to just help save the time. I mean, there's only so many hours in a day. And when you get to be older, kid or not, but, especially when a kid is involved, like, make the most of your gaming time.
Yeah, I'm still only like playing Final Fantasy 15. I think I'm only like 20 hours into it, and that's been since Christmas.
Yeah, wow.
Mm-hmm.
That was a really good game. I loved that one.
That was a good one.
Yeah, I was really hoping I could at least try to finish it before I got my Switch, but that didn't happen.
Mm-hmm. What else has been your experience as far as, gaming with a kid?
It depends. Like, usually I have to wait till he's taking a nap because he really likes controllers. So,
oh gosh,
yeah, that causes a problem if you're trying to play anything.
I can only imagine, like, if you have something like an iPad or whatever. Just you're seeing a lot of kids growing up, and one of the friends who has a kid as well. Growing up and knowing how to use these tablets. Now, granted, I think she's 6, 7 years old. Oh gosh, no, even older. Oh my God, time flies by. I think she's 7. But even like growing up with iPads as a technology and like knowing how to use it, and like it's just so intuitive. But yeah, controllers just being so tactile. Have you done the move yet where some parents have like the chest harness or whatever and have the baby sitting in there? And have you done where like the baby's sitting there and you have your arms around like playing the Switch there yet?
I think it was yesterday. He was laying on me because he woke up from his nap, and I was just holding him so he would go back to sleep, and I just had the Joy-Cons disconnected, playing it on the TV.
That's a power move right there. Very nice. Yeah, and that helps.
Makes it easy.
Yeah, it takes out the bulkiness to it all. And I hope you haven't been encountering there were desync problems at launch, but I think since you got it a couple days ago, Nintendo with their next shipment, they kind of put in parts and fixed that on a manufacturing level. So that's good. That I'm guessing you haven't had any Joy-Con desync problems.
I actually have.
Oh, really? Well, have you been playing through the baby?
Well, if I have just the Joy-Cons disconnected, I think it's the way that I hold them, because I tend to keep my index finger over the top, the left one will disconnect a little bit, but it's just Link will run forward an extra 2 inches.
Yeah.
For some reason, Shovel Knight kept lagging on my TV.
Interesting. Haven't heard that yet.
I don't know why.
Huh.
Zelda's fine. Shovel Knight is too much.
And so those are just the games that you have with the Switch so far?
I got Zelda, Shovel Knight, Fast RMX, and Snipper Clips.
Yeah.
Oh, I love Snipper Clips.
Good collection of games there.
Yeah, I got a bundle from GameStop. I managed to get one from them, but it was when they got rid of the collector's guide for Zelda, and and threw in the season pass instead.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing more news on that season pass, and I'm sure at E3 they'll probably mention something where that development's going. But that's really cool. I'm glad you got one. It seems to be a tough thing to come by these days, so that worked out well for you.
With talking about my kid a little bit earlier, I found that for some reason he really likes watching Mario Maker.
Huh.
On
Go
YouTube.
Figure. Yeah.
I can't play it because he'll try to take the gamepad. But
Give him a fake gamepad. Buy an old controller you don't use or anything. Maybe take out the inside so it's just the buttons and stuff, and give him that. He won't know he's not playing.
Hey, the Wii U gamepad's built like a child's toy.
Snap.
I would totally do that, except that he's just 9 months old. So he sees that what I have is shiny.
Yeah.
And that his controller is not.
Oh, yeah. I can see that.
My nephew is 6 months and he's in that phase too. He likes everything.
Well, if it
He
helps.
likes phones.
Well, if it helps, I bet that they're going to have Mario Maker on Switch. If that's not an E3 announcement, Nintendo, you goofed.
I will be really sad if it's not, because I really like that game and I've had no time to play it.
You got to figure it's in the works. They're probably working out some of the online connectivity, make sure all the stages can transfer over, but it's got to be done. It makes too much sense.
Yeah, I can't wait till they announce some more games, because somehow watching some of the game trailers on the Switch, they talked me into getting Mario Kart again.
Yeah. I'm still on the fence of like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I have Mario Kart 8. I have the DLC on Wii U, but portable though.
I know,
Yeah.
and it's not a 3DS.
I know. And I know my wife loves playing Mario Kart 7 on 3DS, and it's just like, well, Mario Kart 8 should be a no-brainer with the deluxe, yeah.
I'm going to complain about it. I'm going to hate that I'm doing it, but I'm going to get it again.
Damn right.
And be like, damn it. I hate that I'm doing this Nintendo stupid.
Maybe I'll just do
fucking
digital.
DLC.
Maybe I'll do digital this time, Get some more...
It'll be the same thing of when they put out a Smash Brothers on it.
Oh,
you don't
God,
even
yeah.
have to add any other characters. There goes your money.
Oh, God, yeah. Smash Brothers is a no-brainer. Let's be real here. Oh, boy. Well, Missing No 87, thank you so much for calling in. Where can people find you online?
I'm on Twitter at that username, and I haven't done much else in a while.
Well, being a dad, that's the most important job of all. So congratulations to you. That's really awesome. And
Thanks.
Thank you
Yes,
so much for
congrats.
finding the time to call in. Really appreciate your insight.
You caught me right after work.
Perfect timing. Well, we do record Saturdays at 3 p.m. Eastern time here, so glad that seems to work out for you.
It does.
All right. Well, you have a good night, man. Thanks. Take care.
You too.
Have a good one.
And joining us from Colorado, ZeroRanma, welcome back to the PowerSwitch.
Yo,
So, Persona 5.
it's finally here.
I know we've been talking offline and we've been sharing different thoughts on different Discord channels and whatnot. You've been playing Persona 5 like it's your job. And
I mean, I don't have a job right now, so that gives me all the time to play it like it's my job.
even still, it's pretty impressive how far. So we were just talking, you were saying you just finished the 5th palace.
Just now,
Oh,
I
boy.
just finished the boss.
So like what's that hour count looking like right now?
It's at like 44 hours,
Damn.
and I got it on Monday night, so
Wow. Okay, so Scott, you're not too much farther behind him.
Hour-wise, I'm not much further behind, but progress-wise, I would say I'm fairly behind.
Damn.
like it probably helps that I do read fast, so I can get through a bunch of dialogue quicker. But
Yeah, and here I am sitting
Still.
at 11 hours, finished the first palace. All right, okay, yep, good. So I'm sure you have thoughts on the game, and that's probably what we're talking about today, I'd imagine. So let's let it rip.
all right, well, first off, the biggest thing about this game is how animated and flashy it is.
Yeah.
Because holy
So
shit.
flashy.
Everything is animated and nothing about any of it bothers me. Like all the menus, all the text, even like the text font, how it's like all those different like cut up.
Oh yeah,
up,
yeah.
like-
hmm
You'd think it would bother people because of how like it's not uniform or anything, but it works really well.
Yeah.
It's uniform in its ununiformity.
Very true. With the menus, I was sitting and playing, and my wife was watching me, and she was like, "Whoa!" At one of these menu transitions with Takemi, the doctor, and when I was going to sell something, and she does that leg flip over transition. It's just
yeah.
like she's like, "Whoa, hello legs." She's like, "Yeah, it's got that style to it."
It's gorgeous.
Yeah, like all the transitions are just beautiful. Even the loading screens are nice because, they have the little like take your time and all that stuff. And at a certain point, they do like, how they have like the main character in both the real world and the metaverse.
Yeah.
It's like the difference between the student and Joker. There is like a story point where you go somewhere else for like your school trip.
Oh yeah.
And they even change it then. Like they changed like the people walking by, they changed the loading screen bit.
For the seasons, they do. I noticed that, or if it's raining out, I noticed.
Yeah, I don't think I've caught on to that stuff yet. I mean, I'm only so far in, so what do I know? But that's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's just so much to do. It's really painful to decide what you want to do because it's like maybe you want to try out the batting cages one of these days, or Maybe you want to go work a part-time job or just hang out.
If you connect to the internet, you have the touchpad on the PS4, and just to bring that up and see what the percentages are for everyone, like what they've done, that's really handy. I found, like, if I'm not sure and I'm between a few things, like what is like the general sort of consensus there?
Everyone has their different pacing and things, because when I was checking the network one night or one day just to get some suggestions as to what I should do, they had access to a confidant I hadn't even opened up yet.
Oh, interesting.
And couldn't open up because of story stuff. So, it's good for suggestions, but you can't follow it like a guide. You just got to handle it how you want.
You got to take your time and go at your own pace. Yeah. I found it really interesting with some of the social link stuff that I only have so many. It's, not too far in and all that, but with the doctor to even have just rank 2, I'm like, oh, you have to have level 2 guts. Oh, okay. Yeah. That's new. All right.
Yeah. A bunch of them just kind of lock at certain points unless you have like super high level stats or whatever.
Mm-hmm. And like with, what's his name? The Hierophant, your caretaker, Sojiro, it's like, hey, you have to make coffee before it continues. Like, all right, oh, fine. Can do that. And that seems to be a handy because for the first dungeon, Kamoshida, like you're strapped for SP, and so I had to do that into 2 parts, and then they did the calling cards, so then it extends even further.
That's one. Okay, so 5 dungeons in, I will say this: you have no like healer, like healing your SP anywhere. You have to bring in items if you want to heal your SP.
So one of my big questions with those of you who had played more is just like, does that get easier as far as SP management?
You have more. I mean, I think just by the simple fact that you have more makes it easy. Plus, once you get more than 4 characters, you can swap in party members.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
In the menu screen, you can't do it in combat, but it's not like you have to be in a safe room in order to do it.
Right.
So you can kind of swap out your weaker, more people that don't have any SP out anymore. You can swap those in, or keep your healers out so they only can heal. Like, you only worry about healing. Like my Morgana right now, I don't have in my party most of the time. I keep Morgana out, and then he has media and some of the higher healing spells. So I primarily keep him out to just heal after combat. And
I'm sure like once the Moss skills come into play, like that'll help on some of the consumption of SP, especially when you have a lot of the different spreads of enemies. I must say it's different to get used to the using your ranged weapons, especially in the first dungeon there was Incubus, the little devil, and like only weak to those firearms, and using that life drain spell, which fucking sucked with just 30 HP a hit. So just especially Anne's Uzi, the SMG, just spread with all the ammo she has. It's interesting to work with that, which that's a new thing to the recent Persona games.
You'll find that like all the winged enemies tend to be weak to guns.
That makes sense. Bullets through the wings,
and eventually you'll reach like a confidant that helps you with your gun skills and makes them more handy. That's not till like later in the game.
From like what I found is with my higher levels, kind of where I'm at. I'm in the high 20s right now. I have skills that I don't rely so much on magic anymore, unless it's for weaknesses. Because I have physical attacks that damage everyone multiple times. So I usually, when I'm grinding and things like that, I'll use that and use my life, because the physical abilities use life instead of SP.
Yeah.
So I'll use something that attacks everything on the board 3 to 4 times, doing medium damage or something like that.
Yeah.
And then I'll have someone my healer will heal them up when they need to. But
this kind of ties back into Missing No's topic of, gaming as an adult, gaming as a dad and all that. But just, gaming when you're older and your time is at a premium. It's such a long game. I'm playing on easy right now. And like, I'm not having really difficulty with it per se, but there is the allure of, being over leveled, having a lot of money, just grinding, just having rush mode, just put that on and just go. If I remember correctly, Zero, you're on safe mode as well.
I am on safe mode, yes. So I have not had any need for like actual grinding. when I first played Persona 3 and 4, that took up the majority of my time.
Right.
I think.
As someone who's
It's
curious about going to safe mode, like what's the pros or the cons there of doing the move? Obviously you
Right.
can't, change it back if you change your mind, but
Yeah, you cannot change it
Right.
back. So the pros are, you get damage less. You do more damage. Your XP and money gain are like tripled,
Ooh, nice.
which is really handy because man, you end up using a lot of money at times.
I almost ran out just before like all the fallout from Kamoshida's dungeon. Like I almost ran out of money. It's like, oh shit.
Yeah, you really use a lot of money in this game. Like I had over 1 million at one point, and then I gained access to something and quickly lost a good chunk of it buying stuff. Because at a certain point, you gain access to this laptop that you can repair, and what you find on it is probably something that made me super happy.
Okay.
You gain access to Tanaka's shady commodities.
Oh, all right.
So he sells you some good stuff for a really high price.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm playing through on normal, and I've grinded some, but even at my point, things haven't gotten too crazy, and I don't have the super expensive store or anything, but I haven't had much issue in terms of having money, just because I usually, like when I'm going through either Mementos or the palaces, I make sure to occasionally turn on my thief vision or whatever and grab the various golden items and open all the treasure chests I
That
find.
definitely helped a lot, yeah.
And then sell all that stuff in the back alley at the airsoft shop. But I haven't had much issue in terms of, I haven't had any money issues so much quite yet.
I mean, then is there a disadvantage to playing on safe mode aside from the dirt easy mode sort of stigma? But
there is actually one hell of a disadvantage. You tend to deal so much damage that there are times where you cannot recruit personas because you just murder them in one shot.
yeah.
So a lot of the negotiations just tend to go down the drain that way.
Has that been something that you miss, or is there other ways to make it work?
Honestly, it's a pain sometimes, but otherwise I can just deal. I can just fuse
Right.
if I really need to. The only ones that I cannot fuse are like the special gem personas that are like the super rare ones that give you like lots of money and XP. But
I can't say I've come across those yet.
Because you can recruit those and you can't fuse those. You cannot like get them from fusions. You can only recruit them.
Okay. Huh.
They're used mostly as like catalysts and for fusions, as well as strengthening personas. I believe they give a ton of experience.
Yeah,
I guess
I'll
I'll
give
just
tons of experience and like different, and like they have a wide variety of skills they can pass on.
I guess I'll just stick on easy right now and see how that kind of works out. And maybe on like a new game plus, I'll go and put that on for
and just kind
safe
of
mode.
breeze through.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I know eventually I want to do a max link run. I don't think I can pull it off during this one.
Yeah, same. That's probably what I'll do as well. What else would you like to talk about with Persona 5?
This is undoubtedly the darkest Persona game to date. Just with the first bit alone.
Just like, they went there. That happened. Okay.
Yeah, with the whole Kamoshida stuff.
Yeah.
Did you play the original Personas, Zero, or did you come in with 3 and 4?
I came in with 3 and 4. I tried 1 and 2. I couldn't get into them.
Okay, yeah, those were fairly dark as well, dealing with some gruesome stuff as well. So
Yeah.
definitely different games than 3 and 4.
Yeah, it was rough going back to those ones when I played it on the PSP. And I was like, wait, no, where are my social links?
Yeah, those
going
didn't
on?
exist until 3.
This is literally just a Megami Tensei game, but
Are you happy with how the direction of the story is going? I think one of the cooler things is, with each of the social links, the confidants, to kind of tie it back to that framing device of you're in that interrogation room in the future.
yeah, you're just retelling the past. So
The in media res is a really smart way of handling the game, just not only to just get you right into the action. Like that's That was awesome. And when we played back in September, just like that was just like, oh, like we're doing this. Okay, I can't tell what's happening with the Japanese, but like that's
I
great.
think that was a really good way of bringing people into this game, because a lot of people were worried that it would be like Persona 4, where it just a giant slog of dialogue.
Oh god, so much exposition. Yeah,
forced stuff. And don't get me wrong, there was still a lot of forced stuff after that, but
it kind of has to be. There's so much
really
stuff. Yeah.
Because you went into the dungeon multiple times during that, like just exploring and learning all the mechanics.
But do you like where the story is going? I mean, you're 5 palaces in, like you're happy how it's progressing.
I love how it's being handled. I think, the way it's constantly flashing back and forth, like you're getting information about all these characters beforehand, like all the targets. Yeah, you flash back to see like how these confidants affected you in the future. And eventually you got to reach that point and you want to know how it's going to end.
Yeah, I got to say that's one of the cooler moments. It's not, I guess totally spoilers or anything like that, but the doctor is one of the first, confidants that you get outside of your party. And when that's established and they flash forward to have the interrogator, who that's a whole other character as well, to have her be like, like someone had to heal you. Like there had to have been someone to heal all your wounds, all of your your dangerous stunts that you went on. Like they had to be an accomplice, and it's just like, oh, like this is how it's going to be. Like you're going to set up like each of these. Everyone's going to be important in their own way, and all of the abilities that they provide. That's really
I thought that
really
was
helpful.
a really cool addition.
Oh, yeah, it's really great.
Yeah, the fact that it's not like Persona 3 or 4 where a bunch of them aren't really like super, you're just kind of helping these people, but they're not really affecting your life.
Right. I mean, you're tutoring a kid, you're meeting a mother who's having a tough time with her stepson. Like, okay, fine, but inconsequential overall.
Yeah, and now you've got like, a doctor who's, if you increase your rank, she's going to sell you better medicine, or a politician who will teach you how to talk to personas better, talk to shadows better, stuff like that. And even the party members have, some of them in the future will have unique skills that they can teach you. Yeah,
it's really, really well done. So I mean, I think overall people are wondering like, is this a game I should get? Like, yeah, I get it. I mean, if you have a PS3 for one, like,
if you have a PS3 or PS4, this is a must buy.
Yeah, you got to. But if you have only a PS3, get it on PS3. Like, don't buy a PS4 just for this. I mean, if you want to buy it also for Horizon Zero Dawn,
PS4
and you
has
want
plenty of exclusives that you should buy a PS4 for.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, like if there's a bunch of games you want on the PS4, get a PS4 and prioritize this game. But
if you're looking at just one game at a time, I mean, Persona 3 works just fine. Like, there's no difference between PS3 and 4. Okay, 720p versus 1080p. Like, if that's a big deal to you, maybe. But
and if people are wondering, should I play Persona 3 or 4 before playing this? You don't need to.
Right.
You can absolutely just jump into this, no hesitation, without needing any info from the past games, because they're all in the same world, but none of them are really like. They're not like direct sequels or anything. I do like the small little
callbacks that they do make though, because of course you got to have those. But
the little cameos, and
there's one where it's like you tune in on the TV. Again, it's so early, so it's not spoilers. But you turn on the TV and it's just
they're cameos, so who cares?
But to say, and the news reporter, and it's like, there's a detective at school, blah, 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 it's making waves. Now, you may remember Naoto Shirogane. It's like, oh, my God.
Yeah, and then you can, in the subway.
Yeah, the subway, yep.
You can see posters for Rise and Konami.
Yeah,
so.
And that's super cool. And I did see that as well. Like, that was a delight. Especially for Konami. I mean, that's great. Oh man, there's so much to talk about. I'm sure we could devote a whole podcast to that.
We'll probably have a spoiler cast in the future.
We will assuredly have a spoiler cast when more people have cleared this massive behemoth of a game. But otherwise, ZeroRanma, thank you for calling in. People can find you on Twitter at that. Anything else you'd like to plug?
Not really.
Okay. No, get back to that Persona grind. We'll look forward to talking about it in the future and other gaming topics. Thank you for calling in.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right, thank you for calling in, everyone. When we come back, Scott will give you his top 5 favorite games of all time. I'm really looking forward to this list, so you don't want to miss it when we come back here on the Power Switch.
So step on up to the place. Need to face what can spin into the light.
Welcome back to the Power Switch, joined here by Scott White. Scott, thank you so much for joining us so far. It's great to have you on and with your insight.
Oh, thanks for inviting me on.
Of course.
Happy to be
And,
here.
for future podcasts, for E3, this won't be the last we hear from you, of course. So,
Oh yeah, we'll be around each other's sites, I'm sure.
yeah, definitely. But let's get to to flesh out who you are. And I'm always interested to see these lists. It kind of explains a little bit about who you are as a game player and what you like and what games have made an impact on you throughout your history of playing games. So, your top 5 favorite games of all time. Now you can do, one per franchise. You can do, whatever rules you have there. But give me your top 5 here.
Okay, so in my top 5, I have probably at number 5 Diablo 2 for PC. I have spent so many hours over the years in that game, and that really opened me up and got me into the action RPG genre for PCs and the loot grind and all of that. I attribute that completely to Diablo 2. I love it, and I still to this day will occasionally boot it up and play it. A lot of depth, a lot of replayability, great characters, great story.
I never got into it, but I know so many people who owe a lot to that game. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm hopeful because Blizzard is remastering StarCraft that maybe next they'll remaster and re-release Diablo 2. That would be super cool.
That would be a good step compared to what some people said about Diablo 3. So,
yeah, Diablo 3 has had hits and misses. Hits and misses. But next up, I would have to say Metal Gear Solid, the original one for PlayStation. I love Metal Gear Solid 3, but the original Metal Gear Solid will always have a place in my heart, along with the Twin Snakes. It was just looking on the back of the CD case to find Meryl's codec and the plot twists and how everything happened. It was, my handle in a lot of, from Twitch to Twitter, just PSN, it's always Solid Snake 120. I love Solid Snake as a character, and I hope one day I can have an actual conversation with David Hayter, who played Solid Snake.
Oh, that'd be so cool. Yeah.
And not Kiefer Sutherland. Never Kiefer Sutherland. But I digress. Still a little salty on that. After that, I would have to say Pokemon Red and Blue.
Yep.
In terms of my favorite games of the Pokemon series, I think it would be Soul Silver and Heart Gold. But Pokemon, to the nostalgia value, I remember playing in elementary school on the playground Pokemon. I remember going over to friends' houses. I remember watching the anime when it first came out. I remember crying when Butterfree left originally.
Oh, man, it's all about that Pikachu's goodbye.
Oh, the Pikachu goodbye was horrible, but Pikachu came back, man. But no, Pokemon Red and Blue, I'll just always remember. It was right after the Snorlax episode aired, and that's when I encountered Snorlax in the game, and I was having such a hard time catching him, and I was so like, I need Snorlax because he was just on the show. I need Snorlax, so I used my Master Ball on Snorlax.
Oh no, I know he's got a high catch rate, but man.
But it gets better because I still ended up catching Mewtwo with an Ultra Ball, but I'll always remember using my Master Ball on Snorlax in my Pokemon Red game.
Well, that's a fun story.
Then got stolen twice and returned to me.
No, man,
Yeah,
the
schoolyard Pokemon, man. It was dark days.
I know we're a little older there. We're pushing 30, but yeah, those were the times back with the Pokemon nostalgia and those
stolen from my backpack.
All the cards on top of it. It was a time.
Cards,
it was a time.
Yeah, we didn't have your online trading and your global Wonder Shiny networks. No, we had to look people in the eye when we were screwing them over with rare Pokemon or fake Pokemon.
That's how you knew a person's personality. You look them in the eyes. You traded Pokemon.
True. now that I'm thinking about it, it'd been really funny to see like a Persona Pokemon matchup where it's like a shadow version of someone trading Pokemon with like a Persona user and then just arguing back and forth. I think that would be fun.
It's actually funny you say that. It was it may be a little more of a spoiler, but we'll talk offline. But there's apparently seeming like a Pokemon sort of kind of connection in Persona, just a very tangential one. But that's interesting. Anyway, number 2.
Number 2 is I was between Final Fantasy 6 and 7, but I had to go 6 because I have more memories of it. Growing up, that Final Fantasy 3 for Super Nintendo. For those that aren't back in our young days, it was Final Fantasy 3. But I remember watching my friend. I remember going over to my friend's house, my neighbor's house, and watching him play it. The Narsh opening scene when the Magitechs are walking through the snow towards Narsh. I remember sitting in his basement and watching it. And I remember we had a garage sale. And I had money, and my mom took me to the store, and I had a choice between getting a lava lamp, which I had been wanting for a while, and Final Fantasy 3. And I chose a lava lamp.
Oh, no.
And I chose a lava lamp. Yeah, that was one of my gaming missteps. But I eventually, of course, have it on multiple systems. At this point, it's like every time a Final Fantasy comes out or gets ported somewhere, I have to get it. I hate myself a little bit more. But just the characters and everything in Final Fantasy 3 will always have a special place. The soundtrack was fantastic.
So when that rumored 30th anniversary of all of the games in a box comes out, that's going to be your name on it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm going to wait up online and be like, God damn it, why am I doing this?
Why am I buying this $500 special edition?
Right. And then I'll be like, oh yeah, I'm an adult and I can do things now.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to be eating Fruit Loops out of a bowl at like 2 a.m. because I'll have to wait up online for it. But no, it's a special game all around. I have a lot of fond memories with it. And it's definitely one of the best 16-bit RPGs out there, no doubt.
Yeah.
And my favorite game of all time, Mega Man X for Super Nintendo.
Oh, yeah.
When I don't know what I want to play, I will resort to Mega Man X. I love that game. I love the soundtrack. Everything just controls really, really well. It's a masterwork. I love X over all the other X games. Favorite game of all time. I could go back and play that. And I've gotten to the point where I can 100% in about 40 minutes.
That's pretty good. I know you were trying to speedrun it for a time. So,
yeah, but definitely favorite game of all time.
Wow. That's a really strong list. I'm impressed. I was wondering where you're going to slip Tails on that, but you know, when you have those classic stalwarts,
in top 5, I was debating maybe putting on Tales of Vesperia or Tales of Symphonia, but those would be like in the top 10.
Yeah.
Top 10 would have a Tales game, no doubt. But top 5, it's tough.
All right, and that'll do it for this episode of The Power Switch. We are hosted by rhymeswithasia.com, and we're on YouTube and Twitch at rhymeswithasia.com. You can find us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at The Power Switch. And you can email us any questions, concerns, comments, or opportunities at powerswitchpod@gmail.com. You can subscribe to The Power Switch on podcast services such as iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher. And if you could be so kind as to leave a review, that would really help as well. Most importantly, to participate in future episodes, you should join our community on Discord by visiting rhymeswithasia.com/call. It's a small but growing community, and in these early months of the show, it'll be easier than ever to have your voice heard on this podcast. Let's talk about a YouTube video to watch. I have friends from the University of Michigan. They formed their own kind of sketch comedy YouTube channel called Practical Folks, and they have this series called Drunk Disney, where they're a bunch of 20-somethings and they basically watch Disney movies from the past, and they have drinks. They have drinking game rules. They have drink attacks where they kind of assign individual drink times to each other, and they kind of riff on the movies. They kind of critique it and edit it down in this nice video package. It's really one of their standout series. But they did a spin-off of that, and they did Drunk Star Wars, where I guess they were watching all 3 prequels in one night with these drinking game rules. So they're getting progressively more and more drunk. And episode 2 just came out today after the first one. On episode 1 was like around New Year's time. So I'll recommend that, just their channel overall and their Drunk Disney series, but in particular, Drunk Star Wars episode 2, Attack of the Clones. So do check them out. They're really good. Scott, do you have a particular YouTube video that's caught your eye and you want to give a shout out or some credit to?
Not so much a YouTube, but I know this weekend, and it'll eventually be put up on their YouTube channel. It's currently Final Fantasy Relay Race, the second Final Fantasy Relay Race, where a team of 3 speedrunners, or 3 teams of speedrunners race from the original Final Fantasy all the way through Final Fantasy 15.
Oh
the
my
speedrun setting.
God.
Minus the MMOs. So they've been doing that. It's a back-to-back-to-back. It's on RPG Limit Break.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
What the fuck? Well,
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
So you can find it on Twitch, twitch.tv/RPG Limit Break. And they speedrun tons of things in terms of RPGs, but then they also upload all the videos to their YouTube channel, RPG Limit Break. But definitely give them a check out. It's an amazing thing to watch, and it blows your mind considering you spend 40 hours and you see someone beat a game that in like 2 hours.
And yeah, when you see, some of the, AGDQ or SGDQ and they get like Final Fantasy 6 or something like that, and it takes 4, 5, 6 hours, like just that for one game.
Mm-hmm.
And, oh my gosh. Wow. That's remarkably impressive. Absolutely.
Yeah. Definitely a fun time. It's the second time they've done the entire Final Fantasy series, but Final Fantasy Relay Race, currently on twitch.tv/RPG Limit Break, soon to be on their YouTube channel.
Absolutely. Well, Saturdays at 3 p.m. is when we record weekly shows. If things happen during the week, we'll have a show then. Tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, I know that's going to be a little, past the time of when this edit goes up, but we'll also have our Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild spoiler cast, so that will also be up on YouTube soon. If you're there listening, you find that on social media, feel free to participate. If you've beaten the game, we're going to be talking about all things Breath of the Wild. That should be a fun time. I'll be traveling next week, so we'll maybe have a show from the road. And Scott, thank you so much for joining us. This is a lot of fun, and you provide some great insight. And we've mentioned before.
Well, thanks for having me.
Yeah, we mentioned before. We'll say it again. E3 2017. That's going to be a fun time.
It's coming up.
We got
2 months.
We kind of have some things in mind of what we want to do, but nailing those down specifically, that's going to be some good fun, and we'll hopefully provide some good content for you, whether it's live or post-show podcasts. And yeah, one last plug for you, Scott. I mean, find you on Twitter at SolidSnake120. We got to plug your website, dashingnerds.com.
Yep, dashingnerds.com.
Anything else that you like to give a shout out to?
No, not right now.
All right. Well, again, thank you so much. Stay tuned.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. Stay tuned to our Discord channel as everything develops here, whether it's live or on your own time. I look forward to you joining us for our next episode. With that, I'm Peter Spezia. Until next time, switch up, call in, game on.